Good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of Center for Human Resources Development, Parole University, I, Dr. Jyotsna Amin, Deputy Director, welcomes you all to today's webinar. Today's webinar is on reconceptualization of education in era of COVID-19, issues and challenges. In the year 2020, there are two parallel phenomena occurred. One is India has got National Education Policy 2020 and COVID-19 strikes across the world. Now, with these two parallel phenomena, the shape and structure of education and the mode and transaction methodologies have been changed a lot. And there are many issues, and these issues have given us many opportunities too and challenges too. So, in order to discuss these in detail, we have with us a very eminent personality, one international figure with us, Dr. Rekha Kaul. Dr. Rekha Kaul is Dean International, Faculty of Humanities and Associate Professor at Science, Technology, Education and Mathematics Research Group, popularly known as STEM Research Group, School of Education from Curtin University, Australia. I welcome you, ma'am, to today's webinar. She has 3 decades of teaching and research experience. In her credit, she has two books, more than 10 edited books, and many journal publications. She has been dealing with training of STEM awareness programs, organizing STEM conferences, and coordinating the STEM programs. She is the founder of Learning Environment Research Center in Indonesia. She has been elected chair of Jumki Basu Scholarship NARST and a learning environment SIG AERA. Besides that, she has a wide range of experience across the globe in dealing with STEM education. So, ma'am, now I without wasting time, I request you for today's webinar. And we have viewers on Facebook, and I'll be monitoring Facebook and checking the comments. If anything is there, I will inform you. I am there in the backstage with you.
Thank you, Jyotsna. Thank you giving me this opportunity to interact with teachers in your institutions. And as I speak, I'll share my screen as well. Hope we can do it well. Yeah, we are here. Yes, it's true that currently world is going through very different time. Probably none of us had expected or envisaged what's going to happen. And it struck us, and we are still in a turmoil. We really don't know. We do talk about post COVID era, but I don't think we have still reached the post COVID era because we are very unsure about what the next time or the coming year would be. Although um, COVID has come with its own opportunities in educational sector, but it has definitely raised lots of issues and challenges. And one of the challenges which I see most is I ask these questions to myself is everyone when I even heard from your institution is how do we reconceptualize education? And I ask myself, do we really need to reconceptualize education? What has changed other than mode of delivery? And if we really have to change it, what should new educational model look like? And as teachers, I understand I'm currently 3,500 academics are listening to me, and I may come back with 3,500 answers or different models. What should new educational model look like? And if we are developing a new model, what are we trying to achieve through the new model or the the current educational model. If we, what will be the difference between the current model and the new model? And now that India has already come up with new educational policy or national education policy 2020, so the model we are thinking of, how feasible is it for delivery of model 2020? So this NEP does talk about integrating technology, but can does my model or the model you are thinking of fit into that? And it's not only technology, there are few other things in NEP. Can they be met if we are delivering all the education through technology or in online mode? And above all, who is responsible for this new model or the education system, the new education system? Would it be parents, teachers, society, or the policymakers? Generally, I see we give this responsibility to policymakers who are the politicians. Not much is given to teachers, the enablers on the ground, which are teachers. And in nowadays, we see education institutions as businesses where students are the clients, or should we call them the the citizens of tomorrow. My as you would have seen the Jyotsna when she introduced me, my specialization comes in from learning environments. And when we look at environments, so what sort of learning environments will we be developing when we are teaching only through online medium or the new model which we are talking about? And when we look at the history of learning environments, I go back to 1932, nearly 100 years back. Levin told us there are the learning environments are based on either student's personality or the teacher's personality and the environment they live in, what sort of classroom we have. It can be a blank screen, like right now I'm talking to my screen and expecting that 3,500 academics are listening to me. I don't know what's happening in the background. Or is it an open classroom, a huge lecture hall, a small class where I have 10 to 20 students where I can give them personalized attention? But even in those 20 students, every student comes in the classroom with their own pre existing disposition and their personality types. And that determines the type of learning environment I am developing. And how do we study these human environments? We do talk about students, but students first are humans. We do look at ecology, we look at organizational structure, which means what sort of, is it a teacher dominated classroom or a student dominated classroom? Then there are the personal characteristics of the students as well as teachers, their personal their disposition to learning. But in learning environments, what we study, the research when I do is I look at the psychosocial characteristics, what sort of psychology and what type of social characteristics my classroom has. At the same time, around 1920s, Moose gave us three dimensions when we study the environments. Is the personal development of the person, when while they are going through an educational system, what sort of development is happening in individuals, and their relationship with the teacher, their relationship with their peers, which could be the students, and in current scenario, It can be when if they're studying from home, what is the relationships with different people in home, and how are we maintaining the systems and how these systems are changing, which is most important when we are doing studying learning environments or trying to know what sort of learning environments we are developing. And systems have changed, as you would know, in last 2 years. As academics, we had to put in a lot of effort in maintaining the systems and adopting and adapting the changes within the system. And if, as academics, we study our the system maintenance and system change, we will know, we will have ready answers for what type of education will happen in, or what type of model we will have in COVID era. And generally, we will come up with our system maintenance and system change. We'll have anecdotal evidences, but it would be better that we can have a research based argument to run a change. One of my dear colleague did some mathematics, and uh, he came up with a few numbers and saying that students spend approximately 20,000 hours in a classroom situation, which could be, which I would say, in current times, in a similar situation, which could be in front of a screen. And uh, as academics, it's isn't it our responsibility to make that this experience um, enjoyable, because this 20,000 hours is a significant part of their life. So, whatever type of experience we'll give them in these 20,000 hours will determine what sort of individuals we are developing, and in return, what sort of society in future will be developed. As educators, we rely mainly on assessing the students' achievement and don't give much attention to the learning environment we develop. But research has shown that if we give attention to the learning environment, student outcomes improve. And my research is in the area of learning environment. And whenever I do either quantitative or qualitative analysis of the data I generate, I see positive correlations between positive learning environments and student achievement. So, does it make sense that in COVID era we pay attention to the type of learning environments we are developing? And what do we want to do for that? There have been lots of tools, validated tools developed over a period of time, and nearly 50 years. I've here I have 40 plus years written in this slide, but I would say nearly 50 years back. Basic tools were validated, like learning environment inventory, or my class inventory, or classroom environmental scale, looking at few dimensions in the classrooms over time. And some of these inventories were even validated in India as well. As time passed, specific purpose built instrument were developed with scales of independence, differentiation, feedback, opportunity to learn, integration, open endedness, um, positive and negative traits, gender equity, and it list goes on. And feel free to contact me. Would you require these tools to check the learning environments of your classrooms. These are easy to use tools giving very profound feedback to teachers. What are the perceptions of your students on these scales or on these tools? And where are the gaps? That's what we need to do at this time and see what where are our gaps and how can that be managed. Over time, few other questionnaires which we is one of the main things in learning environments or in teaching and learning is we never look at assessment. So we developed SPAC, which was student perception of assessment tasks. Uh, Environmental education is becoming a big thing, and climate change and climate emergency. I developed this place-based learning environment instrument and few other. In addition to that, last year, the last instrument which I developed was classroom emotional climate. Uh, Although the research on this questionnaire had started just before COVID, but this tool was validated around the COVID time when COVID had started, and we checked at emotions in classrooms in higher education, which is at university level as well. Surprisingly, you would know that here in Perth, we had very minimal impact of COVID. But when COVID started, we did close down partially for about 10 weeks. So when we opened up, I ran this CEC, classroom emotional climate, with our university students. Surprisingly, surprise, we thought students wouldn't like to come back to university. No, students were happy or perceived more for face to face instruction. So, no matter how much we think about that we have technology and technology gives freedom, there are lots of things, but research in last 2 years has established that students anyway are preferring face-to-face instruction. So again, something more for us to think: what would uh, how are we going to reconceptualize education in post COVID or during the COVID era? I think pre COVID, this is what your classroom would look like. It could be a little smaller or bigger. This is what my classroom looks like. Students sit in, we have the group work. I will come and talk, whatever. We have these voice sensors, so the camera here moves towards the voice wherever there's some sound in the classroom. And whatever I teach gets recorded, and we use Blackboard as a learning management system. Our LMS is Blackboard. It gets posted on there, and students who come to the classroom or don't come to the classroom have an opportunity to go and revisit whatever was done in the classrooms. And I would say learning environments changed in when COVID hit, and lots of science was learned by us during this time. I understand, although you, yours is students in your university must be coming from privileged backgrounds, keeping in view it's a private university, but feedback given to me by some of my peers who are teaching in government colleges is that some students, when they've gone back to their villages, don't have access to technology. Many students, school students, are studying from phones. So, would schools have the classroom changed from a blackboard to the phones or a laptop or a computer? So I think we really need to build a bridge, and I put this Mumbai, the largest bridge in Mumbai. We really need to build a bridge between the education system facing COVID and implementation of NEP 2020, which when I read the document, it reads like a perfect document and forward looking document. But at the same time, we have challenges how to put it into practice. And can we do it? And that too effectively. We do talk about pedagogical shifts in maybe for last 100 years we were focusing on achievement, and that teachers were told when we are teaching our students, we are building their brains, and that's the cognition is increasing. And we were focusing on cognitive approaches. Way back in 1980s came that every student comes with their own learning, so we should put at that role of teacher is helping students construct knowledge, and we focused on constructivism. And around 80s or 90s only technology came into being, and some education systems were very prompt in adopting technology and some were not so prompt. But COVID didn't leave us with any choice, and we had to adopt the virtual approach. So we feel we would love to think that we are currently in the phase of virtual approach. But the question again, I'm not giving you many answers, asking more questions. Are we really in a virtual approach phase? And what has changed between cognitivist approach and constructivist approach and virtual approach? We are still teaching the same old things, but the way of teaching might have changed minimally or substantially. It depends upon the course you are teaching or the approach teacher has adopted. When I look at the cognitivist approach, I just copy and pasted some literature from a book which said what cognitivist approach does is. But then I thought it looks at prior knowledge. When I'm teaching in virtual mode, I'm again looking at prior knowledge. I'm looking at communication. I'm looking at multimodal ways of teaching. I'm looking at engaging and many more. It's just for your reference. So even if I'm teaching in virtual mode or we are teaching in virtual mode, how much of cognitivist approach are we still carrying on with us? We need to think about it. And then even with constructivist pedagogies, it is student-centered, active learning, and then I have few points there. I'll share this PowerPoint with you. But tell me, aren't we still doing it in virtual approach? So what has changed? And what do we need to change? Even in constructivist pedagogies, we are talking about discovery, exploring, communication, assessment, diagnostic assessments. So, what has changed? That's a question we need to ask ourselves again. There is a lot of emphasis on flipped classrooms, and that has proved quite effective in virtual approach where you share some learning material with students and then run the online sessions as discussion sessions or workshops and has worked well. Possibly that could be many education systems had not um, used it, but can be used. Uh, there is mention of 21st century learning skills in NEP 2020, where we are, or Indian teachers will be required to teach children to think critically, creatively, and, and engage in collaborations and communications. So, how are you going to do it? There is, I think you could go and Symbaloo, which has a compendium of resources and they're of digital tools and can be used. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for anything you may have, the questions you may have, because every tool will have its own purpose built uh, use. So we can work from one topic to other topic, keeping in, and there are some communication and collaboration tools, and I have used Poll Everywhere, Kahoot, or Canvas very effectively in my classroom. Why I'm saying, I go back to Schumann's idea of pedagogical content knowledge, which is PCK model, which later on was come up with by Mishra and Kuhn, who gave us, on the basis of PCK, they talked about Deepak model, where you have the technological model, pedagogical knowledge, and the content knowledge. So, which technology will apply to which content based on the pedagogy being used will have to be decided by the classroom teacher or the area specific teacher. So we are, and there are multiple resources available worldwide, and through internet, world has become a smaller place. But at the same time, you will need to be careful about what pedagogies and what technologies. All the content will not change. You will adopt for your teaching. And I put this book here, so you will have to look at the culturally sustainable, appropriate pedagogies, because there is a paradigm shift in perceiving education or life. So, but as there is the shift, we have to be mindful of, is it catering to diversity in society? Because you will have a diverse set of students with different technological skills, with different predispositions to technology as well as their needs. Then the biggest danger which we have, especially in India, I really worry about, is the issue of equity and social justice. Uh, I understand there's a significant proportion of our population who don't have access to technology, who don't have access to internet, and they are left behind. Are there any appropriate chances of creating peer learning? Because all children are working from home. So, how are we designing our learning activities that we encourage students to do projects together? We pair them up, which they can do in online mode as well as and when it comes to face mode. And as teachers, we will have to, or you should be doing, is documenting evidence-based successful narratives. A teacher choosing a pedagogy and that is successful, that if that teacher is impactful in letting her or his uh, peers know what was successful, and that becomes a norm for future. So what I'm next going to tell you is, as you would know from different educationists, is learning by doing is impactful. And that's what NEP 2020 is putting emphasis on. I looked through various websites. Edutech is one provider who have a maker space in India, and they do lots of activities, different types of activities, robotics, prototyping, hand tools. But all of these look more like uh, very technology driven activities. Then I had look at a few other providers in India. Itself was Curiosity Gym in Mumbai. Hyderabad has Collab House. Pune has something else, and even ISER Pune, and there are Homi Baba Center for Science Education has few other activities in addition to STEM Lab, Maker Asylum, and Maker Ghat sort of activities. Because I come from STEM area, I'm giving you examples from STEM. You can adopt and adapt in your own areas. Is Can we create similar activities, low cost activities in your area, so that learning is profound and the learning environments are engaging? There is a danger. Again, there was someone told me, you don't need to worry about India because India is very good at jugaad. And these, if you look at, a water tank has been converted into a toilet. Someone is using a motor for plowing the field, or there are many other examples in these pictures. But jugaad thinking is like design thinking. But if you look at seemingly interactable problem, if jugaad would have worked, we would have solved India's problems, but we haven't. So, to really make progress, we should embrace the antithesis of jugaad and move into sound, smart planning where there is a culture of compliance and pursuit of excellence. So, how can we do that? I'm going to tell you what I did in India. We ran a project with pre service teachers in Bhopal, and these were students in their fifth semester undergoing 3 year teacher training program. And three activities we did with them were wiggleboards, catapult, and pipeline activities, very low cost material. And these BSc B.Ed students, they we trained them and they went into a primary school and did the same activities, made these students do these activities of year five, year sixes, and sevens. Students were given a model, a prototype, and material. No instructions given, and asked to develop the models and then we went and looked at what sort of learning happened there. As I talked to you, we worked with them and then they worked with the school children. And how engaging was it? These are students working. Instead of me talking, let me give.
First day of the workshop, we performed two activities. The first one was the making of Wigglebot. We were given certain materials. They were batteries, glass, three pens, and we were shown a video. Now, after seeing the video, we did not understand much of what exactly we had to make. So, but however, after working a lot, we finally made a Wigglebot. Now, I would like to say what's the science, mathematics, and the engineering in this Wigglebot. The science behind this is that the chemical energy is transformed into the electrical energy, which is further transformed into the vibrational energy, which tells the conservation of energy. Now we have learned this principle in book, but we have never applied it in our practical knowledge. But with this activity, we really came to know how this transformation actually happens.
Moving on, you would have seen something by doing instead of telling them. It really made an impact. And did they learn the 21st century skills?
Can you help me? Because not everyone is good at everything. So we can do teamwork, and that is the most amazing thing what I've learned. That is, just go and ask people that, can you help me at that? It is not like your ego is hurting or something like that. So that is the most amazing thing what I've learned about this during this STEM workshop. One thing after this workshop is that I always had two superpowers: being a woman and being a teacher. And after this workshop, I'm meeting a new superpower: being a STEMinist.
So that's what is important is in NEP 2020, we do talk about 21st century learning skills. So we will have to develop activities, present it in a way where they work together and they collaborate and they feel empowered. Communication happening in group works. So that's what I'm going to talk about. You see, I am, proposing in new era. So project two, when I talked about the Deepak model, where we are doing communication and collaboration, was a workshop with Indian teachers, where we looked at the content, pedagogy, technology, and skills of communication and collaboration. I developed a unit which has even subtitles in Hindi, STEM in, and we used Moodle as learning management system. And sometime earlier, before the my lecture, when I was talking to Professor Jyotsna Amin, she said you use Moodle as learning management system. That's what I used for here and set up the activities for teachers to use. So it's a resource ready. Anyone wanting to use it, feel free to ask me. I can provide you access to this learning resource. And Indian teachers did enjoy it. As we come, it has pedagogical approaches given. That's what you will have to give clear instructions to students. And what happened? This project was run in, although it was run one in Delhi with in Australian High Commission and other one with teachers in RI Bhopal, but RI Bhopal got teachers from you know, a rural India, the stark difference is that from rural India, 40% of the teachers were male, while as in Delhi, we had only one male teacher, which is 3% of the whole population. And here, what I'm looking at, the available technology with teachers in India, and this is pre COVID in 2019. And you could see computers, 50% of teachers had have computers for about 5 years, and these were all private school teachers. But 69% had laptops, while as in rural India we had only 16% having laptops. And same applies to other technologies, but what stood out is 86% of teachers had smartphones in Delhi. And but if you look at the time, 1 to 2 years in rural India, teachers had 30% had smartphones for nearly around 2018. But if when I ask them for more than 5 years, only 19% has. So the technology use was increasing, but post COVID, I would expect it would have increased significantly. So we do need to take into consideration the teachers who didn't have technology. How do we cater to their needs? If you look at here, 3 to 4 years, you have 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And all of a sudden, then we put them in a space where they have to use this technology. How is that going to happen? Although I did some surveys with them, and there was a digital divide between teachers in richer schools from Delhi or remote area in Bhopal. Um, the rural teachers lacked basic technology skills and didn't have necessary equipment. Being promoted as new preferred way of upskilling Indian teachers, and leaves me with a conundrum. How are we going to do this? Teachers believed in technology and their understanding, and they were very confident that they can use technology. I don't know how well they would have done over the years. Teachers as leaders in both sections can be contributed to the culture, and Indian government will need to plan carefully towards realizing dream of digital India, or the way we are talking about NEP 2020. uh, Next project we did in schools in India, which is mainly in Delhi, and children did engage very well. I did some work over with Prime Minister Modi's Weber platform. And what eventually came up in that is we will have to focus on discovery, preparation, abstract thinking, and multidisciplinary learning with technology redefining everything around. And we will have to move ahead. So, what do we need? We need required technological infrastructure in India. We need technological skills of existing 9 million teachers and 1 million early childhood teachers who are moving from Anganwadi workers into the education system. Uh, GDP, currently we are only spending possibly less than 3% of our GDP, and NEP has uh, put forward that 6% of GDP should be spent on education. And we are talking about pedagogical shifts, but we can't leave. Everything doesn't have to be new. When we talk about, I am talking about equity issues, we will have to bring kids to school. Kids who have missed out on education in the last 2 years, how is that gap to be fulfilled? This year, we didn't even have year 12 exams. Syllabus of year 10 and 12 was minimized by 50%. Where are those gaps to be filled? Is that all responsibility coming to the universities, and how are universities going to fill them up? And what would the model look like? And in this scenario, there is a danger of privatization and commercialization of education, which I'm a humanist coming from the humanist perspective. How are we going to narrow the gap? I know it can never be fully, gap can never be filled, but even if there is an effort to narrow it down, that would be great. So, what is our way forward? We will have to explore our local existing resources for developing the educator's capacity. We will have to look at evidence based, culturally appropriate online training modules for teachers, develop joint research programs. We will have, there definitely will be pedagogical shifts, but the pedagogical shift has to be towards developing lifelong learners. One thing what till now hasn't happened very well in India, there are some instances where industry is engaging, but there has to be uh, engagement of industry, governments, and multilaterals towards the educational institution. And as we are doing right now, we will have to bring in international best practices in conceptualization and execution of promoting best educational practices based on research. I think that if we can do, if not all of these points, but some of them, we will have significant gains. Thank you, and I'll look forward to your questions.
Yes, ma'am. Very truly highlighted so many points in a, I should say, crisp manner. There are few comments on Facebook. Pedipali Gopala Krishnamurthy is watching with us, and he has given certain observations. I'll read it for you, ma'am. Uh, Effectiveness of online education using technology tools depends upon technology tools, teachers' competency in using tools, and IT tools like mobile, laptop, with students looking at the success achieved by Ju in teaching toughest subjects like maths, science prove this point beyond doubts. So this is one comment. Another comment is online education using technology tools depends upon, again, a very similar comment, and they are saying that now, instead of teaching in teacher education, instead of teaching about the psychology and sociology, we should focus more about the tools and technological advancement and all. So if you want to comment on this, then there's one more thing. Students who have no access to technology tools do suffer in online learning. In India, we have another problem due to lack of high speed internet reliability. So,
Thank you. I think most of it, uh, it you're you are, you know, further strengthening what I spoke. And I do believe, yes, we do need skills. And that's why I said I still have doubts. People who didn't have access to any technology, what happened overnight, because everything went online overnight. Um, and technology is not static, it is developing. Our apps are developing. Technology, our knowledge is doubling every 11 hours these days. So it's not only students, we have to teach students. As teachers, we have to teach ourselves. We have to teach every minute because technology is changing. And we are not, we have to develop lifelong learners and we have to transform ourselves into lifelong learners. That's one point. And I would like to comment on we should not teach or we should not focus on psychology and sociology in teacher training program. I understand where this comment is coming from, but technology is only a tool. Through technology, we are dealing with humans and understanding human psychology, understanding the social setup we are living in, we can never underestimate that. And I would say psychology and sociology will is and has played a major role in educational setups. And one aspect which I found nearly 5 years back, which was most neglected in educational settings, is the emotions. And when I talked about, I developed this tool on emotions in the classroom. And that is a part of psychology. We are dealing with humans. Um, if I go to research, I'm told between 25 to 30% of Indian population is encountering mental health issues. And we have to look after that as well. Teachers' role has changed significantly. We are not, we don't have to give knowledge because knowledge is now available on internet through resources. We have to teach children how to learn it. And in that, psychology and sociology will continue to play a major role. We are, children are humans, or our students are humans, our colleagues are humans, they are not machines. Technology is only a tool. That would be my answer.
Sir has again posted a comment here, and he said that my question was not properly understood or briefed by me. Rather, I should say sorry for that. And he said that it is he did not wanted to say that psychology and sociology should not be taught, but he wants that. Quantitative subjects have more scope of using ICT tools rather than the subjects like sociology and psychology. So there maybe any comment, but further he has made a comment just now. He's very enthusiastically participating. That, ma'am, you are correct. You are very right. EQ, psychology, sociology are very important, but teaching those subjects online is more difficult. So if you have any comment on this, that.
If we are teaching them in a theoretical way, they may be difficult. But if we, again, the tool we are using right now, Google Meets, and we set up uh, projects, we set up activities, and then look at what sort of, how it's impacting people's psychology. Ask people to, or students, I shouldn't say people, I should say students, to work about the sociological setups within their environment, whatever environment they are working in, that becomes engaging. Uh, that's why I talked about, I showed these projects which I've done in India itself. I didn't want to bring in projects which we are doing currently in Australia because then it is not culturally appropriate. I brought in projects which were done in India. If we could do that, you are talking about psychology. Let people talk about their own emotions, their own psychology. As teachers, I've seen most of the time, as teachers, we mirror the way we were taught. So set up an example and then see what sort of social setup is being developed, what sort of psychology is being worked around in that setting, instead of, it can be quite frustrating in online mode when you are talking to a blank screen, when most students choose to switch off their videos. And now I'm told that even teachers, they don't want to dress up, they are in their pajamas, and they also keep their screens off. We have to agree that we are all humans, and human to human interaction is very important. So set up, ask them, switch on your video, do a presentation, which will set up a social circle there. Hope that makes sense.
Thank you very much, madam. Excellent session. This is the comment, and I'm thankful to sir also for asking relevant questions and making keen observation. And there are few positive comments appreciating your session, ma'am. I'm also impressed, and I would seek definitely your guidance in future for developing digital STEM professional learning environment in the multidisciplinary university like Parul, because we have majority of the students, or I should say, a great strength of technology and engineering students. So basically, very apt and very relevant, I mean, guidance we can seek from you, that how to
Definitely,
create environment.
definitely, definitely.
So thank you so much, ma'am, for
Thank you.
the wonderful session, and we'll look for the further collaborations. And I will definitely contact you for that access to STEM Moodle, because I am a continuous learner of STEM Moodle, and I would like to
Should I leave? It's stuck.